Where am I still hearing that volume from? Right, we are live. What's going on, Fireman? How you doing this morning? Thanks so much for coming in. I got this weird thing going on with the audio. I'm hearing myself, but I don't know where it's coming from. Let's see if I can find out. All right, we're gonna have to restart this. 1 second. All right, let's try this again. Sorry about the interruption there, peeps. I'm gonna get my chat up real quick so I can talk to you guys and see what you guys are saying. All right. Let's do this. Got the Twitch going on. All right. Now we gotta get the YouTubes. What's going on, Dirk Allen? How you doing? Sorry for the interruption. I wonder if you guys have heard of this game called Bad North. We just chilling, we're playing this game. We're gonna talk about some Arc Raiders. Thank you so much, Dirk, I appreciate that. Let me go ahead and just boost my mic a tad bit. And let's see if that's gonna fix the issue. All right. How is that on the audio side of things for my mic? Okay. I'm gonna have to adjust this a little bit because it's primarily made for when I get a little hypey. Maybe I need to just speak up a little bit. That's all. Adjust this a little bit. All right, now I can speak directly into the mic. I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for hopping in and for the help with regards to the audio. All right. Bad North. We're going to start a new campaign. I'm going to bring this game volume just a tad bit lower. All right. Let's see. What are we going to do with these guys starting off? Wilbur. No, Dirk, I appreciate you letting me know that the adjustment was needed. Let's go with popular, and I want this one. This is going to be my archer unit. Starting off. Iron skin. Definitely going to be that one.
Hey.
Yeah, let's do that one. All right, let's do it. That game volume was a little loud on my end. It definitely is a little loud on my end. All right. I believe this game is on mobile too. This is gonna be a little iffy. Very iffy. Already right off the rip. Go get him. Alright, so this game is basically tower defense, but your primary towers are units of men that you use to upgrade and kind of do all that kind of fun stuff that we're doing, kind of maneuvering. Alright, so this is like the first level. I'm going to bring the volume down a little bit on this game because it's a little loud on my end. So basically it's tower defense. You go from one island to the next. And you upgrade your units to get more progressively powerful. And then as also, you know, the enemies will get more progressively powerful. So there's like the meta game of you kind of going from one island to another. And also staying ahead of the, I don't know, tidal wave slash Armageddon. I don't know. Something that keeps you on pace. You can't always choose to get every single island. Let's see. Let's get this. Yeah, let's bring that down a little bit because on my end it's coming in super loud. So yeah. Let's see here. We'll do this one. All right. And the islands are randomly generated, so as you can see, this is completely different now. Go ahead and deploy. All right, so what's everyone thinking? Arc Raiders release date / beta. What are we thinking? Oh, that was still alive. Okay. Should be good. I lost the dude already. I call summer 2026 for release, honestly. Oof. For all our sakes and our sanity, I hope you are wrong, sir. I'm gonna have to disagree, be honest. Ooh, this is gonna be rough already from the start. Okay. And the reason why I think so is just based off of what we know in terms of their pacing and what they like to do with their tests. All right, cool. Okay. I think we could see full release as soon as August, probably, but I'd be willing to bet September, honestly. And the reason why I think that is historically they've done betas after such tests. Like if you look at the finals, for example, just using the finals as a testing point. Let's get this full some archers. Here we don't have enough for that. So what I think we're gonna see a beta announcement for Summer Games Fest, which is June 6th. they historically have done that. It's done really well when that happens. And so I don't see a reason for them to really kind of change that. See here, Dirk. I hope it will release soon as well. That test got me really hyped. Honestly, I'm kind of more curious as to when Jaeger show their new extraction project. I don't know, honestly, man. Hopefully they learned a lot from the cycle, because, you know, we'll see something completely different. Let's see here. We'll go here because I want to get another troop. Yeah, the reason why I think it's going to be sooner rather than later, I think we're going to see Summer Games Fest open beta started, and then we're going to see direction. Nope. And then we're going to see a release, depending on how well that goes, probably a month or two after that. That's given their history, that's kind of been the pattern. At least fools have shields. But you know what? You're right in that Embark have shown themselves to be infinitely patient, so I wouldn't be surprised if we did, in fact, not get it until next year, which I really would hate to see. Oof, lost a lot of dudes off that one. Let's go ahead and just throw that in there. What's going on, SDM? How you doing? Thanks for making it to the stream. Yeah, I'm inclined to agree that we're going to get it much sooner than next year, to be perfectly honest. But I feel like having your expectations set like that far out, you can only ever be positively, you know, you can only be positively surprised at that point. You know, because if you're thinking like, oh, it's not going to come out until September and December, or December even, and then it comes out like next month, of course you're going to be wildly surprised. Whereas if you think it's going to come out in a couple months and it doesn't come out till next year, you're going to be disappointed like immensely. So my best guess, every developer staying away from GTA 6. I mean, sort of. I mean, I think it is a highly anticipated cultural phenomena. If you look at everything that GTA 5 has done in terms of the numbers, of course, that's always going to be a factor. Embark, though, have always shown themselves to kind of like do the opposite of what most developers do. You know, they're very good in terms of like their OPSEC not getting leaks come out. Like we heard absolutely nothing off of these guys for I don't know how long in terms of Arc Raiders, and then suddenly out of nowhere, poop, they have a test last October. So honestly, it wouldn't even surprise me to be like, you know what, we don't care. We just don't really mind one way or the other. But I don't really think that's an issue, honestly. I think that's a moot point. I think it'll come out this year. Let's see here. We're gonna go here, but we're gonna upgrade first. What can we upgrade? What's this guy? Fleet of foot, faster movement. Iron skin, reduce damage. You know, I'm gonna... Let's do that. Do some pikes. Let's do some pikes. I don't have enough of that. Dirk Allen, I'm just waiting for something to fill that Cycle Frontier gap. So far, Exoborn and Arc Raiders are looking promising, and I'm willing to wait a bit more, especially when I need to upgrade my PC beforehand. Oh, I feel that, man. I feel that. Fortunately, I've always been a little bit at the head of the curve when it comes to keeping my PCs up to snuff. So, you know, thank goodness. Exoborn, I think, is interesting because I always thought basically Arc Raiders and Exoborn would beat Marathon out in terms of getting out to the market sooner, having time to establish a player base. And I just assumed at the time, mind you, that Bungie would just come in and just bully them around. And so like these two games needed the time to establish strong player bases to sustain that. But given what we know now, I think Arc Raiders will definitely not have any issues from people from Marathon in terms of their ability to sustain and grow and do well. However, Exoborn now becomes basically the main competition for people who would be otherwise inclined to be into Marathon. Right, and SDM. Bungie has a big problem. Yes, and that's my point, is that now I feel like with the way Marathon is going now, I think even Exoborn has a chance of like knocking them off their block at that point, which would be sad, but at the same time, I think the competition is needed. All right, give me some pikes now and some archers. What do we got? What do we got down here? Okay. Let's just do this. Boop, boop, boop. Dirk Allen, did Marathon investors backing out? At least that's the rumor I heard from a friend. Rumors are a weird thing. Oh, let's just go ahead and just nail these suckers before they even land. Pokey pokey. What do we got here? What do we got here? Gonna land right there, maybe? Let's just put these guys behind. Let's just get these guys in the mix. Okay, we lost some dudes there. Not enough to really be worried. Let's just keep these guys centralized so they can do some work. It's kind of just... Alright, let's go take care of that. Move these guys up a little bit. Alright, these are gonna hit at the same time. Maybe not. Push them in. Alright. No, no, no. No, no, where you going? Where you going? Alright. Yeah, I'm not sure about the whole investor thing. I think Bungie has problems. Without even getting into the investor or business side of things, just purely from a marketing / game standpoint, they got issues. I think I said this last time. Had they come out with just a test date and just a let's get some of that. Yeah. So yeah, SDM, I think Embark would release in a very near future, but it's odd that there's no marketing or news at all. Not really, actually. They're kind of known for that from the finals and whatnot. I keep thinking back to Apex Legends for when it dropped and it came out of nowhere. I thought that was a really good thing because it just, you know, didn't... Let's go here. I don't... let's go here. Because it didn't really need the marketing. It just came out of nowhere and everyone just started playing it, right? And if you think about it in terms of like setup and money cost, it's a tremendous amount of money for marketing. Oh, this is going to be super easy. Okay. Tremendous amount of money cost for like marketing and setting all that up, right? And then let's say you get to the point where you're... Do that there, do that there. You're releasing and then it's just server issues or hackers or something that's just gonna like not put your game in the best of light, and then everyone and their mother's looking at it and you spent all that money doing that, or God forbid you need a delay for whatever reason, and now that delay has to be pushed back alongside with all the marketing money that goes along with that. However, if you have no marketing, no promise, that's I think that's the reason why Arc is doing so well, perceptually speaking, is like it promises nothing and it over delivers, whereas Marathon has been over promising and under delivering by all accounts. And so if it just comes out of nowhere and then they can spend marketing afterwards, I think that's a good thing. So I don't think the silence is odd. I think it's probably just in line with what Embark normally does anyways. I had 0 encounters in Arc Raiders that led me to believe I was encountering a cheater. Like 0. So, just to answer your question talking about hackers, Dirk Allen is how was your experience with encountering cheaters on previous Arc tests? My friend had a strong feeling that a lot of encounters were cheaters. Again, like I said, just to reiterate, I had 0 encounters to have me suggest that it was a cheater involved. But then again, I'm always kind of reserved when it comes to accusing that. I'm always trying to fall back on, hey, maybe I got outplayed. I'll look at my footage to see where I can do better. And a lot of times it's usually that, right? Though I got to admit though, when the Psycho Frontier started having all those cheater compensations, I started getting a lot more than I honestly thought I was encountering. So what do I know, right? Let's see here. Let's just give him some shields. Let's see here. We could have a feeling like that probably because we didn't use heavy shields. We made the mistake of not focusing on augments, upgrades, and buying it from the shop, from gameplay recordings. Okay. It's not showing up the rest of it. I mean, yeah, I think that's also another topic as well in terms of the gear power levels. Some people have kind of had concerns with that. I know it obviously needs to get balanced a little bit better, but only from a perspective of you need to give people reasons to run armor that's not just heavy armor, because then at that point it's just, the progression feels flat, because once you're done, you're done. You're done kind of progressing. Yeah, but so yeah, including yours, I noticed how impactful heavy armor was, and that probably caused the feeling that people were cheating during encounters. I'm not sure if people necessarily would call it cheating, but I think people have a certain feeling about it in terms of balance. I know I was I was chatting back and forth with somebody who said they quote unquote hit all of their shots, and they didn't die, and then the person casually turned around and just killed them instantaneously. Now, for scenarios like that, my very first question is, do you have it on video? Right? Because I remember this larger streamer playing the Psycho Frontier and getting absolutely flustered because he quote unquote hit all his shots and the guy didn't die. Right? So honestly, I'm not going to need any of these guys. I'll just use one unit. Maybe not. There's 2 ways up. All right, let's just use that. But that's the reason why I asked, is because he flustered. He saw the video, he reviewed the video live in front of all of us, and it showed that he in fact did not hit all his shots. In fact, he whiffed most of his shots. And so, you know, that kind of showed me in real time, like, hey, you know what? Sometimes your perception is not exactly in reality, right? And so when people say things like that, okay, well, you know, walk me through this. Okay, you had a Stitcher, you had a gray gun, you unloaded your entire mag. Let's say you did in fact hit all their shots. So I can tell you right off the rip, he wasn't wearing light armor, because if he was wearing light armor, he would have killed him. He would have just straight up killed him. If he was wearing medium and you hit all your shots, you might have broken his armor, in which case that would have been fairly obvious when that happened. And so yeah, okay, you didn't kill him, but you nearly killed him. And in which case, he had the time it took for you to reload your Stitcher that didn't turn around and kill you. Even with the Stitcher, he could have done that. So it's like when people say, oh, all this gear is super overpowered, it did X, Y, and Z. I'm like, well, there are things in here that you could have done that could have actually turned around and you beaten the game, but basically comes down to like skill issue, right? Which I hate as a response. I always hate using that as just a blanket response. It sounds like a skill issue without understanding exactly what the issue is. You know? Let's see here. Personally, I didn't think we thought Personally, I didn't think we encountered cheaters at that much compared to what my friend felt. We played duo, but to be fair, I was always surprised why I only dealt 30 damage when using the same weapon. I mean, yeah, because of the armor differential, right? Because there's the mitigation factor. So I think when they tell you how much damage you did, it's based off of the HP damage, not the armor plus damage, which is obviously a great point of feedback, by the way. You can say, hey, I want to know how much damage I did total, not just what I did to his HP, like how much that damage his armor by and all that kind of good jazz. That much information is really useful in this kind of game, because when new players come up and they die and they're confused, well, frustration is part of it, but confusion doesn't necessarily need to be part of it. So like the less confused you are about how you died, the more inclined you are to accept the fact that you died with part of the game frustration and then continue on playing, as opposed to like just feeling like you got cheated and then just quitting, you know? Does that make sense? Mm. I'm probably going to find archers here, and I have no shield guys, so this is going to be a pain in the ass. Let's do... They're all going to have archers, so no way around that. Alright, fuck it. Dirk Allen, while looking at the gameplays of others compare the armor stats, while I like the armor system, maybe they should reduce the disparity of armor values between tiers. I don't necessarily think that should just be the only thing that they do. I think you should have reasons to run the other armors, right? Because if I'm running heavy armor, I should be punished with slower movement and maybe less utility, because I can just muscle my way through a fight. Whereas like if I'm running light armor or medium armor, I should have more utility opportunities. For example, maybe I cannot use a snap hook if I'm wearing heavy armor. That would be a huge incentive to not run heavy armor. You know, just an example off of that. There's only one way up. These are some early, easy early maps. Oh, now we got the archers now. Alright, let's just do a shootout there. And do a rundown. Chase him down, boys. There we go. Alright, more shootouts. Let's see here. But yeah, I think the armor, like... I think the issue that we're running into, right, is that the armor, the heavy armor particularly... Damn, I'm getting whittled down here. The heavy armor in particular is... It sustains in the fight too long. Like, I think the mitigation is good, but I just think, like, you can just... Plus also, there's also the shield switching that's occurring. Let's do that. I'm not sure if you saw any of that going on in some of the footage. Some people would, instead of, like, taking the time to recharge their shields, they would just swap the shields in their backpacks, and they would be instantly charged. So that's obviously an exploit. Like, that's just... That's, new starting strat. There we go. That's obviously an exploit that needs to get patched out and, you know, balanced out a bit, you know? Yeah, so some people have noticed that. They basically would just switch. So they would have, like, a full heavy shield on. And then as soon as their heavy shield got knocked out, they would, you know, do the bandages or whatever. And then they would just swap to a full shield that's in their backpack. And it would be instantaneously full again. So that's, you know. And some people are saying that, well, that's part of the gameplay. You need to be able to balance that out. Yada, yada. No, I'm sorry. That's an exploit. You need to remove that completely. Like, just... Like, that needs to not be a thing. And I don't honestly see how someone can actually defend that as a thing. To be honest. Infantry, what's his quicker ability cooldowns? let's equip that bomb. So yeah, I think my idea that I had that I put in the video was having attachments and upgrades for the armor similar to that of the weapon systems. You know how the weapons basically start off at level 1, and you can start upgrading from level 2 to 3 and 4 and so forth, and it would take progressively more rarer items to upgrade them for the benefit. So I feel like with heavy armor, for example, it could be like you have a much more severe slow penalty for using it, and as you upgrade it, it gets reduced. And then for like light and medium armor, you have like attachment slots, much like weapons do. And these attachment slots could very well be extremely powerful, but because they're on shields that are not as durable, their use case is going to be significantly reduced, right? Right, and like you said, I think it can be mitigated by making equipping armor mid run would be an action that takes time, similar to a repair kit. And that's the response most people have given. Just be like, hey, just make it take time, it'd be fine. I think it needs to be take so much time that it makes not repairing your current armor worth it. Like not worth it. So basically, we have to incentivize. Well, rather than repairing my current armor in the time it takes for me to repair like a full health heavy shield twice, essentially, I can just switch to this. It's still faster. So long as that's part of the meta, like that's an actual usable thing, it's always going to remain an issue, which I think just ruins the game personally. But with regards to armor balance, I think like if you had light shields or medium shields that have like, you know, attachments, and not talking about your typical like, oh, you know, 5% extra movement speed attachments. I'm talking about like something that's really, really valuable. For example, something that you can recharge your shield after not taking damage after X number of seconds or time or whatever it is, and you have like slow, and another one can be like slow health regeneration or something like that. Or when your shield is broken, you have an adrenaline shot. These are things, and you can make specific slots that are usable for like light, medium, and heavy, and just not have those available to be heavy, right? And so yeah, you have a light shield and it can be broken really fast, but you have all these great utility items that basically justify you taking, you know, light shield or medium shield with maybe a little bit less utility. So whereas I have a heavy shield, I can withstand way more punishment. We can do a DPS race and I'm going to win every single time. Or, you know, you can do hit and run tactics, and even though I swatted you down and broke your shield, if you're still alive, you can just run away because you have an infinite, you know, adrenaline. Or if you ambush me and then I break your shield and you still have most of your HP, you have now infinite, you know, adrenaline, infinite stamina in order to like run me down. So these are things that would make light and medium shields way more attractive, and just kind of like keep people in their own specialty. So if you have a heavy armor that has a specialty of just, we're going to shoot it out, we're going to DPS race, I'm just going to out-sustain you in a fight, great, cool, but then have the other armors have their own kind of flavor as well. And the reason why I think it needs to be an upgraded system, because for that kind of system to work, you need to have basically all armors available from the word go, and not basically have it super expensive one over the other, because then you have to justify, why am I spending all this money on heavy shields when I'm getting all this extra utility and stuff like that with medium shields. So, you know, like have them all basically start at gray, and then you can just upgrade them. So from green to blue to purple and all that stuff, and they just have their own things, you know? Let's see, where are we going? We got archers and regular dudes there. All right, let's do something harder. Okay. Let's hold off on that. All right, now we got shields to work with. Archers. Let's go and draw aggro there. And just shoot. There's archers everywhere. Let's throw that there. Ooh, this is gonna be rough. These guys aren't doing anything. Okay, now we run. Alright, good. Now we have some regular dudes. Where are those guys gonna land? Right there-ish. Let's do that. These dudes can just chew them up pretty easily, I think. Yeah, that should do it. Yeah, that should do it. Oh, that's a lot of dudes. Let's do that there. Let's do that there, that there. Easy peasy. Oh, we got more. We got more. Okay, there's a lot coming from over here. Let's do this, this, and this. Let's see. Easy enough. Easy enough. All right, let's see here. Let's see here, Dirk Allen. Let's see, perks like that could be nice addition for more variety regarding the armor values themselves. I prefer if they would work in terms of TTK, like Cycle Frontier, increasing survivability in PvE, but only minimal effect PvP. Regarding perks, how do you feel about the skill trees that we saw in the test? All right, so one question at a time. I actually do not like the idea of armors only affecting PvE. I did not like the way Cycle Frontier did that in terms of their weapon as well, because it basically made upgrading pointless. Because if you're PvE centric, that made the guns pointless. That's why we saw in season 3, you saw nothing but, like, you know, green PDWs and green AR-55s, which were the meta. And so you basically saw no reason to go anything higher than that for weaponry, because you just brought more ammo and just, you know, the PvE was just, I don't know, they were just bullet sponges, and the higher tiered weapons only being able to do that basically made them pointless. I feel like I know some people don't like the idea of having different levels of potency for weapons against, or any equipment in PvP, but I don't see a point in looting if I'm not going to see an increase in my effect in the main core aspect of the game, being the PvP portion of it. So it's like, if I see, like, I'm looting, you know, several hours to upgrade my equipment, and I'm not seeing any real, you know, improvement in my ability to actually, you know, do anything with it, I don't see the point in looting. And if I don't see the point in looting, that's half the game at minimum that goes away. So I feel like that's kind of a counterintuitive thing. With regards to the perks, I like the perks. I only really got to experience the stamina one with Ernest. I did a little bit of mobility, but I felt every point that I put in, which is what I really liked. I like the fact that, like, I could feel the points I was putting in immediately, right? So that makes me curious about the other parts of the trees, like how effective are those parts, you know? One thing that I saw as well, let's see, what do I have? This guy and this guy. Let's see here. One thing that I saw as well, were the early parts of the tree were more broad than the later parts of the tree. Basically, like, the beginning parts was just general stamina, general, you know, things that you can always apply, whereas later on they got more specialized. So I thought that was kind of cool, where basically you can kind of, like, be a generalist. There's only one way up. Oh, there's 2 ways up. I'll get that up there for now. So I did like the skill tree. I think I'm curious to see if the intent was to make it unlimited to the point where you can fill up the entire thing eventually, or if there was like a limit where you had to kind of specialize and you can respec. That'd be my kind of curiosity about it. Oh, let's get down there. Do that. That's a lot of dudes. I should have saved my bomb. See here, Dirk Allen. I'll read that out in just a second. That should be fairly straightforward. Fair. All right, let's do that there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. Let's go again right there. I want these guys as far away as possible. They're not going to do anything. Just be arrow catchers here. Arrow catchers. Let's go. We'll get him. There we go. All right. Sorry about that. Let's see here. Let's say I was skeptical about the skill tree at first, thinking that it would make newer players basically bullied by higher player levels. But after checking out the perks, I like the fact that they don't impact PvP as much as I thought, and rather just grant more survivability. I went for crouching and speed perks because I know I'm weak in PvP, and rather take stealth approach, and that perk really did feel impactful. I mean, that's also kind of depending on what you want to do. Like, to me, in a fight, the ability to, like, because my stamina build was basically around keeping the ability to always have stamina up, and then I also had some early mobility perks, which basically had my stamina not be used as much when I was running around. So those synergize really well. So in a fight, I can either be really aggro, or I can just be really like evasive and just trying to like just running away. So I feel like if you're getting into a fight with someone that's already kind of above you in a lot of ways like that, yes, I think it might actually end up feeling like more bullied. But at the same time, it doesn't really negate, it doesn't make me shoot any faster. Like it doesn't make you shoot any better at the end of the day, right? And it does afford me a certain level of forgiveness when it comes to like spending my stamina. But I feel like things like that are things that cut twice in terms of like disparity and skill. So that's one of the conversations that was happening with the Cycle Frontier. People always say, well, this gear is obviously helping people way more, and I can't beat these people, yada, yada, yada. And there's kind of like a self-selecting process that's happening, is that people who are good enough to get good gear and confident enough to run it regularly generally are going to be really, really good. And so it didn't really matter that they had better gear than you. It really didn't. They could have beaten you with less gear too, right? And so it's really kind of hard to have that conversation to basically say, hey, they were just going to beat you anyways, right? It didn't really help them. It just so happened that they have enough confidence to run that. And so in this case, where if I'm already really leveled up, granted, I have to like manage my stamina a little less, but by the time I got that much game time in, I'm probably going to be managing it well anyways. And so, someone might feel like, well, you have this much extra, perks than me. I would have won if you didn't have those perks. Maybe, or with the game time difference that I have, I probably would have beaten you anyways. So like, you don't, that's kind of like catch 22. Like, you don't know You know? Let's see here. Looking at the skill tree, do you think Embark might adjust matchmaking to matchmake you with people with similar character level? I hope so. I really do. I know matchmaking is kind of a dirty word in this kind of genre, but I think that, how do I put this? I think that not having some type of matchmaking other than, you know, group size is asking for trouble. I almost have enough for that. Well, I'll do that instead. It's kind of asking for trouble because can you imagine like someone who's just started playing the game and, you know, they don't have any perks, and this, just remove the perks from the conversation just for a second. Just game time alone. If someone's had like several hundred hours in the game already and they're playing up against someone who just started, that's not going to be a good experience for either one of them, right? Because the person who just started probably doesn't have any good gear, probably not going to be a good fight. And for the person just to beat them out, like, okay, cool, I killed somebody, but like they're not going to get anything out of it. And with the person who's new, they just got stomped on. That's obviously not good. So you can even remove the perk system from the equation entirely, and you can still make a good case for matching people in that kind of regard, you know? Right. So I remember the first playtest didn't have a group size matchmaking. I'm glad they implemented it for the test. I remember that was one of my first feedbacks playing the very first test. I pointed out is that I could kill, you know, 1v2s. I could fight 1v2s. I did so in this last previous test. Like my very first few matches, I was playing as solo and I ran into only duos and I was cleaning out half the lobby, right? But, you know, from a person who's starting off at that point with like 60 plus hours in the game, well, duh. And that's kind of gives me the example that I need to make. It's like, yeah, you can do it. However, how often is that dynamic really going to play out? But if I were fighting against people who were well equipped or similarly experienced, that would not be a fun experience for me. You know, I feel like you should have a little bit of wiggle room in that regard. It's not a bad thing to have a solo go up against a duo if the matchmaking has such been placed in a good manner. Like I look at Hunt, I regularly opt into trios because the skill differential will be so huge that I don't really feel threatened by three people. I will feel threatened in the sense that that's three people. If they're properly aggressive towards me, I'm going to feel it. But the skill differential is so huge that I don't feel like it's unfair. And I opted in too. So I think hopefully they have something like where you can opt into it. All right, next one. Let's see here. Just that and that. I don't feel like I need these guys here today. All right. And there's only... Well, I'm so far ahead of the curve, I might as well just deploy all of them. Now I got level 2 shiny hat archers. Right here. Which will do significantly better than they did before. Which I think they do better. Jesus Christ, guys. Fucking stormtroopers over here. Nice. Nice. Okay. A lot of archers. Let's do that. And do that. Nope. That it's. By the way, how do you feel about the new tutorial? Pleasantly surprised with TV segment. He was first. Never mentioning the others. Okay. The tutorial was, I thought, was done well. There's some things that it can probably add on to it. just for the sake of teaching people more about the mechanics. But yeah, I think extraction shooters have been known for not having good new player experiences, and having a tutorial feels like one of those standard things that you should have that extraction shooters have just failed to do utterly. Let's just do that from up here. These pikemen are not getting any work done today. Damn, go archers, go. Okay, that's done. Easy enough. Yeah, I thought that was really interesting in terms of the tutorial. I thought it was done well. So you're probably could have taught you how to craft in game. That's a mechanic that I definitely did not utilize nearly enough. So they could have probably taught you how to do that. That's one thing. And yeah, and you don't always need to fight. That's another thing as well that I think it kind of emphasized. So yeah, I think honestly, like, but I can be impressed by the tutorial because the bar has been set so low by previous extraction shooters that that's kind of why, you know. Let's see here. Quicker ability cooldown. 16. We'll leave it be. Leave it be. Get the archers up top. Let's see here. Oh, that's a lot of dudes. Alright, let's start off with this. Where's he gonna land? Right there. So he can do that. You can go here and do that. I think that should be good. Oh, they all gonna land right there? Oh, they are gonna all land right there. This is gonna be easy. Let's add that to there. Oof. What I'm curious about is hear what you guys' opinion on, because maybe mine's not the popular one, and I want to see what the opposite point of view is the augments not being able to be transferred mid-raid. I think it's an absolutely great thing, personally, but I know some people have some thoughts about it. So, what do you guys think about that? So a lot of dudes over here, over there. Let's just get these archers up here for now. A lot of onesies and twosies here. Oh, this is gonna be a slaughter. Let's swap these guys out. Back that up. Oh, that's a lot of dudes. I thought this would be over by now. Okay, let's do that. There. These guys are kind of low now. Gonna be risky. But let's go ahead and... Oh, boys. There we go. Alright. Get that money. Let's see here. Let's see. Personally, I understand why it's locked when using free loadout, but I think you could allow to swap it out if you're using custom loadout. Though that creates a problem of rats going in with nothing. Yeah, that's kind of been my point. You know, it's like other extraction shooters have this issue. I remember ABI being a huge issue. One of the reasons why I stopped playing, honestly, is people would go in because the Mosin was like one of the cheapest rifles, and you can run it with really expensive ammo, and you only needed like 5 rounds of the expensive ammo. So like net wise, you'd be spending just a micro fraction of somebody who was running a significantly higher loadout, but that would be enough for you to kill them. It became such an issue that people would have tricked out Mosins for that. They would like chop the barrel down and like have certain kind of scopes just to make it the ADS that much faster. And so they would just kind of cheese it, and you wouldn't even bother. Like for ranked mode, you needed a minimum of 100,000 loadout, but people would just bring in the bare minimum they absolutely could for that, and then they would just go in there and just swap their loadouts with somebody, and it just felt really cheesy. And I even saw streamers do that all the time. They would go in with like maybe like a chest rig and not even a backpack because they knew they can take a backpack off somebody else. And so it just became really cheesy in that way. So I feel like this augment is kind of a way of kind of rewarding you for your initial risk. You know, like if you're gonna load out and I'm gonna bring in like the best stuff with like the biggest backpack, I'm rewarded for being able to do that with much bigger carrying capacity and all that fun stuff. Whereas if I'm going in, you know what, I don't feel like risking a lot, then you're capped on how much you can actually truly be rewarded with. Of course, you can still fill it out with heavy stuff, but it's like, I feel like it's a good compromise. Like, yeah, you can still be over encumbered. You can still fill it up with things, and you got to evac, but you can't like just do a 1-to-1 ratio of I brought in a small amount of risk, and now I can play the game with somebody else's gear fully as if I came in with the full amount of risk. Cause like, no, that's free gear now. Like you're not playing with any risk anymore. I think one of the conversations I had with somebody on the subreddit is that we kind of fundamentally disagreed on that point of view, that I believe that the gear truly isn't yours until you evac with it, because it's not yours. Like it's kind of like saying like, oh, I filled up my bag. Oh no, I lost that bag. Like, no, you didn't actually have the bag to begin with, right? It's not a risk. Whereas this individual believed that once they had it on their person, they were the ones running the risk. Therefore, they could either evac or run forward towards gunfire at that point, which I completely disagree with, because if you came in with a free set, like a free gear set, and you just killed someone with a high level gear set, you didn't pay anything for it. You didn't construct it. You didn't actually risk it. You just got it, right? And so I feel like the game is rewarding you with the augment system for going, hey, I'm running this risk, therefore I'm going to get the value out of running that risk. And if you're not going to. So I thought that was a clever way of doing that personally. Let's see here. Yeah. I have found upgrading your Archer unit beyond belief in terms of the amount of people that you can put on there is really good in this game. All right, new enemy type. I'm going to be finding probably the Berserker. Damn, that's a big ol' Archer unit now. All right, let's get up here. Let's just get them all up here. Oh, gotta go over here now. Yeah, that's good. I feel like these pikemen aren't getting any value. Let's just drop them right there. Oh, that's just too much running. Oh, those are the giants. Those are giants. Alright. There's only one way up here, so let's just drop those guys there and call it a day, honestly. Those are some big boys. There's only one way up, and I got the pikes. Oof. Stabby, stabby. Alright, let's see here. Do you know any chance about what happens when the timer hits 0 in the match? I had a situation like that, but it hit when I was waiting for the metro extraction. I was glad Embark didn't make it. Insta kill. Oh, did I lose a bunch of dudes? I did lose a bunch of dudes. I wasn't paying attention. Alright, let's just heal those up real quick. Is that a way up? That's not a way up. Alright, that's easy. That's easy. I do believe you do die when the match runs out. There was a Shroud video where they were in the elevator and it even like almost closed when the timer hit 0 and he ended up just dying. He ended up losing his gear from that. So I think it is insta loss when that happens, though I'm not sure, you know, like I've never been around to see it, to be honest. So it's one of those things where I don't know, but I've seen videos of them being like mid doors closing and the zero count, it counts down to 0, and then when he gets back he has none of his gear, so effectively he died. So I feel like there has to be some kind of marker where it says this is basically the end. Because if you don't, I remember in the previous test, I did make it almost up to a minute after the 0 mark had hit, and I still managed to make it out. And so if you don't have like a strict, this is the exact point in time in which you die, some people will figure it out what that marker is. They'll figure out, okay, well, if it's not 0, let's time it and figure out exactly where that point is at. People will find out where it's at, and that becomes the new 0, essentially. You know, because one way or another, you're going to get it. It's better just to be marked at that point. All right, we got big boys now. So just shields and big boys. All right, I'm going to cheese this a little bit. What's this island going to be like? Like that. So that's a 3. This one is a 3 as well, but I get shield guys as well. All right, I'm going to cheese this a little bit. I can get these two islands done for basically for free. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And the way I can do that is just by using just the pikes, sacrificing these houses and doing this. And since he has this item, it lets him get deployed twice. So I'll just park him right here and read your guys' chat. So you're considering it was some kind of huge arc ship. Maybe the match didn't end instantly because it was Metro underground instead of just the surface. Maybe that's why Shroud died when using the elevator. That could be very well it. That'd be kind of an interesting mechanic in the sense that depending on which extract you use, depending on how fast you end up dying. I've also seen clips of like certain POIs essentially getting nuked as the timer runs down, so that could be a factor as well. Basically, certain areas of the map basically become unplayable and you just die when you're in those areas when that happens. And so That could be a factor, you know? That could be a cool way of doing it. Uh-oh, uh-oh. I may have underestimated how... Yeah. Can we get out? Can we get out? Damn it. That's... sucks. I severely underestimated how that was going to work out. Okay. Let's do that. No. Let's do that. Alright. So we do that. We do that. Let's see if that's the case. That's really cool world building detail. What do you think about timed matches in the genre? Personally, I don't like them and loved opennesses like the Cycle Frontier. I mean, we all have our preferences, right? And I think the open world map of the Cycle Frontier, of just kind of persistent servers, you know, it has a certain kind of flavor to it. I'm not opposed to having timed matches, but I think the timing has to make sense. I think Arc Raiders did a really good job of it in the sense that you didn't have exact spawn timers and you didn't have exact, you know, you staggered people out. And so what that did, that created this unexpectedness that I think open servers, that like the Cycle Frontier, the advantages that having a server that was like that was that it was unpredictable. Like you didn't have like generic spawn points like you do like ABI, for example, where when the game starts you kind of know where all the spawn points are at and you know all the possible places that people could be at in the beginning of the match. Whereas the Cycle Frontier, that was never guaranteed, ever. Okay, let's swap these out. So I feel like Arc Raiders kind of emulated that by having the staggered spawn times. So it kind of created that. All right, back up. Let the Pokies do their thing. Like the pikemen do their thing. All right, cool. Though I will say, the one thing I think Embark, because of the pacing that the spawns are at, it doesn't really allow you to play slow in that game, which could be a good or bad thing depending on how you think about it. Oh man, this is not going well at all. Let's see if I can do something. Oh. My man, this is yeah, I'm severely underestimating this map. Alright, let's get to it then. Let's just go all in with this idea. But yeah, the pacing I think could be a little slower, allow you to be a little slower, but all Arc Raiders would need to do is basically have the starting cap be a lot higher. Well, not even a lot higher, just like a little higher. So instead of like 30 minutes, you can have it be at 35 or 40, and then at that point, adjust the spawn rates from there, you know? You know, I might actually be able to just save the whole island. Let's check that out. Let's see if we can make that possible. Give it a little bit of effort. Maybe they nerfed the pikemen since the last time I played, I guess, maybe. I remember them being a lot stronger. On the side here. There we go. This is where we're gonna get iffy. Speed that along there. Let's do that there. at the end. Start shooting, boys. Or hit the guys at least at this point. There we go. About time. Jesus Christ, man. So much for a gimme. Warhammer. Okay. Well, that took a lot more than I anticipated. Let's see here. Got the pikeman and we got these guys again. Yeah, I learned my lesson from the first time. May not be as easy as I thought it would be. Yeah, let's just do that. I need a 20 for that. Well, let's upgrade these guys. Maybe that's the issue. Maybe that's the issue. We just need to upgrade them a little bit. We'll try it with the solo pikeman this time again. Ooh, they got the fancy spears now. Well, the one concern I have with the open beta that's coming up, likely, right, is I'm hoping that they have a good enough amount of content for the amount of time that they are planning to have the open beta or for release. Because the last thing I would want to have happen is people essentially getting to the end within a short amount of time and then realizing that, hey, the game probably won't be able to sustain you all that much. There we go. There we go. Pokey pokey. Because I can imagine, because honestly, like, it takes a dedicated 3-man to essentially go through, you know, the majority of the content that you have in the 3 to 4 day period. So I would hate for them to like have essentially the same amount of content for just a week long or even a 2 week long playtest. And then people get towards the end, they're like, hey, what's going on here? Unless they explicitly say, hey, we're holding back, you know, content, all that stuff, which is, you know, fine. Damn, knocking them off. All right, we got this one and we got these guys. Whew. All right, it's a pretty looking island there. Let's see here. Basically just one way up to this thing. Shields and giants. Shields and giants. Yeah, you can just hold the shields right there, or the pikes right there. Knock him off. Knock him off the water. Giant over there. Shields over here. Let's just do the archers over here. Kill him real quick. Let's see here. How long was the content in that playtest? I didn't manage to finish all the quests. I mean, I didn't manage to finish all the quests either, but it definitely felt like, in terms of the content, when I mean content, I don't necessarily mean just quests. I mean also your ability to essentially get high level gear. So like when you get to the point where you can just basically, I kind of already saw the projection at that point. It's like, all right, well, if I have a dedicated trio hitting like harvesters like on a regular basis, it wouldn't take me very long to actually like be able to hit everything. So I'm hoping A, it was sped up for the sake of it, or B, they have a lot more in store for us in terms of content in order to use that gear. So like it could be like, hey, you know, you can kind of get to like, you know, high level gear relatively fast, but in terms of like being able to like use it and readily hold on to it would be another issue. So for example, let's say you get a full trio, you know, dedicated, you know, let's say they play about 3-4 days straight. And then the harvesters become available like day 2 or something like that. And they hit those basically almost every drop that they can, doing night raids, things like that. Just kind of just pushing the envelope in terms of the gear that they can get available to. Now they might not be able to finish all the quests, for example, but they effectively got max level everything, and you know, in terms of their quarters upgrades and things like that. And then hopefully at that point, there's still more to do in terms of pushing the envelope for them in terms of their gear. Like rather than the queens, we have the barons and we have the other stuff that's kind of been alluded to. And there's other maps where they can kind of just go a little harder trying to get that point, get that stuff, you know? That's kind of what I mean in terms of content. In terms of like quests, they can have, you know, infinite quests for all I care. And it's like, well, there's only so much you can do the same quest over and over again. It's kind of like becomes like jobs from the Cycle Frontier. Like if it's just repeatable quests, yeah, it'll keep you busy. But to a point, you know? I'm curious to see what their quote unquote end game looks like and how long it takes to get there, and then how long you can really stay there before it becomes kind of repetitive.
Yep.
Let's see here. Do I really need another archer unit?
Yep. Ah. Ah.
Use damage 13 already.
Huh?
Yeah, let's upgrade these guys. Get this one hut back over here. Yeah, it seems like a sacrificial hut to me. But we have archers, so I definitely can't just do this with just pikes now. Alright, let's... Oh, I forgot to upgrade that guy. Well, we don't need that guy for now, honestly. That should be good. Only place to land, so I wonder. I think I'm raining down McDonald's fries at this point. Ah. Take these McDonald's fries. Ah. Yeah. Alright, where are these archers coming from? There they go. There goes our archers. Oh, I most certainly can save this house, actually. Oh, these guys need to back up. Let's get them right back here. Go get him. Oh, that was easy. Let's see here. Personally, I cannot state my opinion on this matter as I'm more of a casual player, and I usually play slowly in this type of game. In the Cycle Frontier, I reached the end game in the end of season 2, even though I played since closed beta. Dude, you give yourself more credit, okay? Because like I don't like rushing this kind of games either, right? And I think the majority of people who are playing these games are going to be like you in the sense that they like to just organically explore the game, right? They're not trying to jam it all out. My perspective on this is mostly like from a balance perspective, is like how quickly can the tippy top of 1%, 10% of players get to that point, and what kind of detriment of effect are they going to have on the rest of the player base? Now, if these types of players are, well, let me back up a little bit. If we see a situation like there was in the Cycle Frontier where people would just jump in the Bright Sands, just roaming looking for PvP in the quote-unquote easy map, it's obviously a very detrimental effect to have that be the case. However, if there are strong motivators and matchmaking systems that have these players essentially play against each other in those environments, then allow the rest of the community to kind of like grow organically into the game, then I don't see an issue with it. Like, fine, pace yourself, do what you need to do, right? So I think your opinion is 100% perfectly valid on this, because I think it represents the majority of players. That's just my take. Let's see here. No archers, huh? Nah, there's no need for that. I'm not in a position to where I need to hurry up. Though that does answer whether or not you need another archer unit. So let's go ahead and make this guy an archer unit. He'll be a weak ass archer unit, but he'll still be an archer unit.
Yep.
Let's see here. This is the only one I can go to. House is at the bottom. It's a big old. I think we can do 2 archers. Oh, got them. I don't think we need to do 2 archers. I think we can do it with just this, and I think it'll be just fine. It's gonna be rough though. Let's do that. That. There we go. Let's start off here. Start off strong. Alright. Big boys are landing over there. Let's just bring in the archers up there so they can hit both. Which one's gonna hit first? I wonder. I should have just moved the archers over there and be done with it. That's messy. That's very messy. Get him out of here. Oh, that was so messy. Oh, get up there. Get up there quick. Get up there quick. Can't do that fast enough. Oh, that was so messy. Let's see. Let's do that there. They can handle it on their own. There we go. All right, we're good. We're good. Crisis averted. All right. Let's do that. Let's do that. Oh, there's a nice chunk of big old bunch of archers here. Back that up a little bit. All right, now rush down there. All right, cool. Random fun fact: I managed to sneak the Cycle Frontier into my engineer thesis. Okay, okay. I'm curious. You gotta elaborate a little bit more. How'd you do it? Ooh, I get another pikeman unit out of this. Okay. 2 pikemen, 1 archer, 1 shield. Against all that. Okay. Alright, that's doable. Shield boys. Alright. Well, I got 2 of these now, so huzzah. Right there, right there. All right, let's do that, and let's do that. Getting nighttime, huh? Ooh, that's not good. Oh, that's not good. All right. A lot of dudes, a lot of dudes, a lot of dudes. Bring this over here. Gonna be iffy. All right. Those guys have arrived, so I think we're good. I think we handle that. Oh yeah, that's gonna handle that just fine. Oh boy. That right there. Let's do that there. Gotta get there fast, boys. Gotta get there fast. Can I get these guys in a better position? Oh, that was a mistake. That was a mistake. Alright, that was way sloppy, but hey, got the job done. Alright, so here, the thesis is about dynamic level generation algorithm system at this point, and the first chapter I was talking about common ways of scene design in games. I use the Cycle Frontier as an example of game where scenes are manually crafted, then filled with procedural generation in case of the Cycle Frontier, loot, and enemies. So I inserted Bright Sands map from the wiki with visible danger zones as they affected the loot tables and spawns. That's interesting. All right. Huh. Very nice. Very nice. I'm sure that was fun to do. And as for an engineer thesis, you're gonna be an engineer then?
Ah.
Here.
Yep.
All right. It's
Yep.
all right. 16 now. I'm gonna be in one extra use. Always useful. Definitely gotta upgrade those guys though. Don't need that. It's just. So you never thought to use the Cycle Frontier in the thesis, but when I was looking for a game example that uses that scene creation method, I realized Cycle Frontier is just a perfect example. Like, well, there you go, man. If a shoe fits, might as well wear it, right? All right, let's see here. I'm gonna make it to the checkpoint map here. Okay. Oh. This is a perfect scenario to use essentially 2 pikemen, but they have archers, so we need everything here. I don't need the uber archers for this one, I think. Because we have giants to deal with, I'm gonna bring in the second pikeman. Easy enough. Doesn't matter which direction you go. Oh, double pikes. Let's do it. Yeah, that's not gonna bode well, I think. No, I can't do it like that. Do that though. Yeah, that's a nasty little spot to be in. Alright, what do we got? We got more of that same? Okay, more of the same. Let's just put one guy here. Okay, that was easy enough. Cool. Back to shredding. Okay, so this needs to get addressed. How do I get there? Oh, okay, I see how they got there. There you go. Alright, see, I'm definitely not avoiding applying the new fixes I need to by attending the stream and talking with you. Totally not. Yeah, IT engineer. Hopefully still my thesis to be approved. Currently on the finish line. I have to do small changes supervisor mentions. Writing thesis. Okay. And so, by the way, from curiosity, how old are you? If I may ask, you sound really young. So when I saw your video of gameplay of the alien extraction shooter with your son, I was hella confused. Right. You're not the first person to point that out, right? If you look further back in my channel, you'll notice when I played the Cycle Frontier, I also had games with my son as well. It's kind of a running joke that his voice sounds deeper than mine. I'm actually going to be 42 this year. So, not a young buck by any means. And I definitely sympathize with the, playing the game a little slower and a little more methodical. I've kind of always stated that I've never claimed to be good at these games, but I am remarkably consistent. So it's one of those things where I like making guides that help people be consistent in these games, especially if they lack the higher mechanical skills that some people have. But if they can be taught the knowledge base they require in order to actually use what skills they do have more potently, then like that's my main alley. I sort of kind of like that's my main lane I try to stick into, Yeah, yeah. Yeah, if you look at it, there is quite a few where we're playing the Cycle Frontier. There's a couple of them where it was specifically gameplay with me and my son, and there's a couple other ones. I think there's like the more tips and tricks things where we're playing together. Season 3. So, it was enjoyable, but definitely my lane was mostly like making guides. So I kind of steered away in terms of like gameplay video because, mechanically speaking, I'm not anything to really write home about. Let's see here. But yeah, I mean, we played, let's see here. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, I mean, we've been playing together. The Cycle Frontier was really one of those games where we both our interests overlapped, and that was a game that we played heavily together. And so when that kind of shut down, I kind of just left a void there in terms of just being able to like find a game that we both kind of hop in on. And so we've kind of just been playing games here and there. And so with the Arc Raiders though, we're both super hyped about it. So that's kind of been a really strong, source for us to kind of hang out in that regard. So I'm grateful for that. So yeah, that's also one of the things I'm looking forward to the most in Arc Raiders is finally getting a game I can really sink my teeth into and really just start really developing those guides again, because that's honestly the funnest part about making content is just making guides. Just it's what I like to do. Because I like tinkering with stuff. I mean, as an engineer, I think you can kind of sympathize with that. Like I like knowing how things work and why, which is kind of like why some of my videos have been more gameplay feature oriented. Because show me the motivation and show me the incentive and I'll show you the action. And so when you see certain gameplay features being implemented, you can kind of tell which way the developers want to push you. And then, you know, with learning how to play that game, learning features and how to use them effectively can take even a mediocre person into a remarkably consistent, successful person in these kind of games, which is what I really enjoy doing. Let's see here. I think I can take that with 3. Oh yeah, especially with these 3. All right, so this is the what's it call it? The save point essentially. Like if I beat this, then I don't have to ever go back again. I'm curious to see whether or not I can actually save these buildings here, given this setup. Let's give it a go. These are my 3 best units, so might as well give it a shot with these guys. Let's just start pelting these fools from the start. So, based off of your experience playing the test, Dirk, what do you think would be the most valuable guide type source from the start? Like, what's something that you wanna see like right away from Arc Raiders, like in terms of a guide? Okay, what do we got coming here? A bit of a mix. Okay. Gonna be everything, huh? Gonna be everything. Do that. Just do that. Come on, hit something, archers. Hit something. Oh, I can't do that anymore. I already used it. Alright, good job, boys. That's gonna take us some losses. It's a lot of little ships that are gonna be a pain in the ass to deal with. Maybe with some help right there. Yeah, this is gonna be iffy. Very, very iffy. So we kill this archer right away. Come on. Come on. Come on! There we go. There we go, there we go, there we go. Start pelting. Let's move this over there. Alright. Oh, that can hold that quite easily. Let's bring that back a little bit. No, it's right there. Yeah, that's... Get pelted, man. Get pelted. Let's see if I can get him up top. Oof. Alright, alright, alright. This is gonna be kind of rough. Okay, good. Good, stay there. Don't move. Don't rush the choke point. There we go. Now we got this. All right, that's gonna be easy. The rest of this is gonna be I wouldn't say easy, but all right. I want to get these guys there. They can handle themselves by themselves. Let's get these guys in there. Come on, come on, come on. There we go. There we go. Get in the house. Get in the house. Whew. Down to the last, man. Down to the last. All right, let's see here. From guides, probably tips for new players on what to focus at regarding progression. It took us way too long to realize how important upgrading workspace and crafting. Yes, that's definitely on my list of things. Not mentioning the heavy armor incident, which caused us to lose most PvP encounters because we didn't focus on getting heavy armor, even from vendors. Some hidden mechanics mentioned could be worth mentioning. Shields, especially, looking how Arc uses its to mitigate damage instead of creating a second health bar. To this day, I don't know how the armor bar actually worked. Even once lost a fight because I had 10% HP and 0 armor, and I focused on repairing armor, much to my demise. Right. I'm really glad to hear these things because I already kind of have a script for a basic starter guide that incorporates all of that. So I'm really happy to hear like kind of just a fresh perspective. Like, this is the things that I want to know. Just to answer some of those questions, by the way, armor basically is that it has HP and it has mitigation. And so when you get hit with damage, the armor takes whatever damage was mitigated to its own HP and it transfers everything else to your regular HP. That's how that works, right? Which is what makes heavy armor so incredibly strong, is that it retains its mitigation factor from beginning to end. So you can even have like a little bit of HP on your armor, and it's still retaining that mitigation factor. So it's pretty substantial. In terms of healing, right? One of the first things I would definitely recommend, in terms of the guide, is that bandages take almost no time to apply. It's a heal over time effect, and it's they cannot stack on each other. So you can't just apply 2 bandages and have twice as much effect. You can't stack them on top of each other. So what I always recommend, for one, when you press your quick use weapon or quick use button, instead of holding it down, it just immediately swaps to your last used item. This is a similar effect to the Cycle Frontier, where you kind of like leave like your blue stems as your primary. So that way, like when you need them in an emergency, all you do is just press it once and you immediately swap to a blue stem. And so in this case, leave a sterilized bandage as your quick use item. So like, boom, you get hit, you go behind cover, switch to your sterilized bandage, apply it, and then while that's healing up, you swap to your armor repair, and then you do your armor repair since you have to channel it. In the time it takes for you to do the armor repair, your heal over time effect still isn't even done yet, but it's almost done. And so at that point, by the time you finished your armor repair, you've gotten a substantial amount of HP along with that armor repair. So that's one of the first things I always recommend, kind of like in terms of like your skill sets, to learn how to apply healing as most efficient way possible. And then also, let's see here, use mitigate damage. Also, yeah, to upgrade your workbenches in terms of what order you really want to do it in. The recipes and the fact that you need to find them kind of messes that up a little bit in terms of, I can't really give you a solid do this in this order type of advice, because it comes down to what recipes you have available to you. So a great example would be the anvil is an incredibly reload, health, armor. Hey, welcome to the stream, Germ. Hope you're doing well. Reload, health, armor. Yes. So your ability to fight back is always important. Your ability to reload. So you definitely need to have your gun up, because you can even have like 1 HP. If their gun's not up and yours is, you can kill them before they kill you. That's always a factor. Health and then armor. Yeah, basically simplified. Germ, right to the point. I appreciate that. So yeah, guys, looting itself. So yeah, another thing I could recommend adding to the guide is looting itself. Considering the small amount of slots, it wasn't always clear what's the best to take, and I usually abandoned valuables, right? And so that's another factor as well. One of the first things that I want to do with a new player startup guide is emphasize loadout materials. So you're looking at the basic stuff that people kind of generally ignore, like the scrappy things that he gives you, because like metal pieces equal ammo, and so the ammo are the most common things that you're going to be using up a lot and consistently. Yeah, and so like the test with heavy ammo, you kind of pointed out like in terms of being the new player startup guide definitely is going to focus on an economic side of playing, in terms of being able to sustain yourself and build up large amounts of like loadout building materials early on, so that way when you start, you know, really trying to make progression, you can afford to like be a little more aggressive and be less timid with your play style, because you have the loadouts to do it in, because you've built up a nice foundation of building materials, you know. What's going on, Kaz? Yeah, man, I think we all need a little bit of Arc in our life. This is kind of our coping mechanism, just kind of playing some chill games and just discussing the you know, Arc side of things. Let's see here. Who do we upgrade? Who do we upgrade? Probably want to give him that. Archers. Oh, I should have upgraded my archers, but whatever. Item. Let's give him this item. All right. So I'd love a quick reference for what salvage you get from various items. That's definitely something I wanna pursue. It probably won't be in the initial startup guide, because that's gonna be more focused on like actions that you need to do, things you need to focus on early on, and then the looting guide itself probably will come back a little bit after that, once we have a strong determination of what that actually would look like. One thing, yeah, definitely need to mention recycling for sure. I can't say enough times how much of my life got easier once I learned that you can recycle items for base materials. Recyclable items extremely valuable, absolutely. So I'll probably, in the startup guide, I'll probably point out very specific items that are like high consequence early on. A great example would be rusted tools that you can easily find in buses that can be recycled for, like, I think if I remember correctly, like 8 metal pieces each, and you can usually find like a handful of them in buses. So like you just go to buses, you get like 4 or 5 of them, and you recycle them all, and you get almost a full stack of metal parts, which is basically a stack of ammo for free that you can just, you know, build up. And one thing we're also doing at the Discord, by the way, don't know what I'll do if we don't get anything at Summer Games Fest. Yeah, man, I'm with you, Germ. I'm convinced. I am absolutely convinced that we're gonna get some kind of beta in the Summer Games Fest. Convinced, right? Let's see here. All right, I'm convinced that we're gonna have it, man. The one thing that regarding the loot things in the Discord, we're actually going to be actively making a spreadsheet of all the items in the game. You know, what their loot value is, like how much they weigh, how much they stack for, how much they sell for, what items you can get from them for recycling, what they're used for, what items you're going to need to save for workbenches, things of that nature. So that way you can always just kind of look up, hey, what items am I going to be on the lookout for the future progress, right? And then once we get like that kind of pretty much nailed down in like the first patch, I'll probably end up making a video kind of just showing some highlights of that in terms of the specific things that you really need to like take care of in terms of bringing in to the match, as well as taking out of the match on a regular basis. All right, let's see here. It's a relatively flat place, so let's... I don't need that many. That's... We will keep this. Where's he gonna land? Right there. Oof. That took a lot more damage than I was hoping. No, I need him. I need them shooting that guy. Yeah, I need him shooting that guy. Swap. This is not going well at all. Okay. Oof, this is not gonna... I think I needed the 4th unit here, man. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, this guys can go repair in the meantime. Get wrecked, fools. Alright. I'm out there. Any more? Okay, those aren't going to do anything for me right now. And neither is that, for that matter. Oof. Please don't go there. 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 Oh no. Yeah, I'm kind of donezo. Yeah, that run sucked. Not gonna lie. Alright, let's see here. From random things, I'm honestly impressed how many quality life features implemented in Arc. Every single thing I always wanted in different games are already in Arc, and that's just amazing. Honestly, yeah, every little thing kind of impressed me. What was your favorite though? Like, Dirk, what's like a kind of a quality life thing when you first saw it was just like, like just thank goodness. Oh. Let's try that again. Alright, let's definitely upgrade some things that... Let's try that again.
Yep.
Need to upgrade that.
Yep.
Archers and giants, huh? I think I can manage this with just that. I'm just gonna give that up. So here, the wish list. Oh, the tracking of the items. The after action report. Yeah. Unloading whole backpack using one button. Oh my god, yes. So that right there, that was probably my big like, oh my god, this is amazing. I just press one button, boom, unloads the backpack. Though I gotta say, it didn't work completely well. It would always remove. Let's see here. It would always remove the arc power sources from my quick use items because they were technically like, you know, like arc parts instead of actual like quick use things. So that always kind of move them back. But other than that, man, it was an amazing feature just to be able to just press one button, everything's gone, everything is back to, you know, everything's back to the stash, and I can just move right on. Though I hope, though, they have something similar to Cycle Frontier had was like saved loadouts. I hope they implement something like that. McDonald's fries, go. Okay, so I'm not hitting those guys or anything. I wonder how much I can hit them from up here. Oh, I can hit them for a lot. Oh yeah, I can hit him for a lot. Oh, no. Don't do none of that. None of that. Maybe from over here. Nope. Can only hit him for a little bit. Make it rain, make it rain. Boop. Oof. There we go. Yeah, definitely. Hated that. Took me way too long to find them at first. Yeah, I mean, the arc power cells, and that's another thing as well. It's like a new person thing. Like most people didn't even realize a lot of the arc items didn't turn around and be used as consumables. Like the wasp thing, you can actually throw it, and if you shoot it, it explodes. So I never really used it too much, but just again, one of those things where if you kind of know, you kind of know your tactical options at that point. It's definitely that. I know Snitcher, or not the Snitcher, the Snitch driver sells for like 2K on its own. So that's another like item that you definitely want to, you know, safe pocket, you know, right off the rip. So I just realized Arc Raiders is listed in the NVIDIA driver update that came out Monday. Hey man, to me that just says, you know, sooner rather than later when it comes to updates, when it comes to playability, you know. All right. So this is probably where I'm gonna be packing it in, gentlemen. I really appreciate where you guys hanging out with me and just, you know, chilling on the stream. I'm thinking about maybe putting up a poll on what games I'm actually going to be playing in the background while we're having our conversation, because that's ultimately what this is for, just kind of coping for the Arc Raider thing, you know. I'll put up a poll on YouTube to see what maybe other games I could be playing, if you guys are even care what's in the background, honestly. If not, I could probably just pull up some random footage that I have. Just we can watch that too, honestly, man. I'm up for it. I'll put up a poll, see what you guys are thinking. You know. Derm, let's see here. I'm sad I didn't use snitch scanners, lures, and the arc one more. Yeah, man. Honestly, I didn't get the chance to do nearly the amount of things that I wanted to do playing the Arc Raiders. I had pre-scheduled commitments for that weekend because it's like, of course I did. So I wasn't able to play the game nearly as much as I wanted to. But I immensely enjoyed the fact that all the polish, all the extra stuff that they put in there since the last playtest was there, and I really got to be. I was really happy that it was no longer NDA. So that was probably one of the best things about it. But yeah, I'll put up a poll on YouTube on there. Keep a lookout for there. I'll also put it on Discord. If you guys aren't already part of Discord, I highly recommend checking it out. The most recent link is definitely on the most recent video I put up. And so, check that out. I'll put up a poll and see what game we're playing next again, or if you just prefer, me pulling out some unseen footage, so to speak. Oh yeah. All right, guys. Thank you so much for being part of the stream today. Hope you all have a great